How I Learned to Stop Waiting and Start Living. Maya stared at her phone screen, the familiar notification lighting up at exactly 7:05 a.m. Hey, you up? Can I get a ride? The message from her coworker Jessica felt like a weight settling in her chest, but this time, she was ready for it. She'd been carpooling with Jessica for 3 months now, ever since they discovered they lived in the same neighborhood. What started as a convenient arrangement had slowly morphed into Maya's personal scheduling nightmare. Jessica had turned tardiness into an art form, and Maya had become an unwilling participant in her daily performance. The pattern was always the same. They'd agree to leave at 7:30 a.m. to make their 8 o'clock shift at the marketing firm downtown. At 7:25, Maya would be sitting in her car, engine running, waiting. Then the text would start. 5 more mins. Just finishing my makeup. Okay, seriously, 5 more mins this time. Coffee maker is being weird. Sorry. Had to take a work call. 5 minutes, I promise. My outfit looks terrible. Quick change. 5 minutes. By the time Jessica finally appeared, it would be 8:10, and they'd spend the entire drive with Maya white-knuckling the steering wheel while Jessica casually applied mascara in the passenger seat, completely oblivious to the stress she was causing. Traffic isn't even that bad, Jessica would say, as if the universe owed her punctuality despite her complete disregard for time. We'll make it. They rarely did. Maya had started showing up to work frazzled and apologetic, slipping into her cubicle while her manager, Mr. Chen, shot her disapproving looks over his reading glasses. The third time she was late in 2 weeks, he called her into his office. Maya, I know you're usually very reliable, he'd said, his voice carrying that particular tone that made her stomach drop. But these morning arrivals are becoming a pattern. Is everything all right? She wanted to explain about Jessica, about the carpool arrangement that had somehow become her responsibility, but it felt like making excuses. Instead, she'd nodded and promised to do better, knowing full well that she had no control over Jessica's morning routine. The breaking point came on a Tuesday when Jessica had made them 37 minutes late because she'd suddenly decided she needed to stop at a coffee shop that wasn't on their route. It'll just take a second, she'd insisted, as if Maya had any choice in the matter since they were already in Jessica's neighborhood. Maya had sat in the car, watching the clock tick past 8 o'clock, then 8:15, then 8:30, while Jessica waited in line for her very specific order, a half-calf almond milk latte with an extra shot and vanilla syrup, but only if it was the good vanilla syrup, not the sugar-free kind. That evening, Maya had made a decision. She was scheduled for a morning shift the next day, and she knew Jessica would expect a ride. But this time, Maya was going to try something different. She'd crafted her text message carefully the night before. Hey, not sure if I can drive tomorrow morning. Not feeling great. Might need to call in sick. Jessica had responded with a casual oh no. Feel better. Let me know in the morning if you're up for it. Maya had felt a pang of guilt at the lie, but she pushed it down. She wasn't actually sick, but she was sick of being late. Sick of the stress. Sick of the apologetic conversations with Mr. Chen. When her alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., Maya felt lighter than she had in weeks. She made coffee at her own pace, chose her outfit without rushing, and even had time to eat breakfast while reading the news on her phone. It was a revelation. At 7:05, right on schedule, her phone buzzed. Hey, you up? Can I get a ride? Maya looked at the message, then at her reflection in her dark phone screen. She could see herself clearly for the first time in months, not rushed, not stressed, not apologetic. Just ready. She set the phone face down on her nightstand and went back to getting ready. The next ping came at 7:15. Hope you're feeling better. Let me know. Maya brushed her teeth. At 7:25, Maya? You there? She packed her lunch. At 7:35, getting worried about you. Are you okay? Maya put on her shoes, grabbed her keys, and headed for the door. The drive to work without Jessica was like meditation. She put on her favorite playlist, took the scenic route, and still arrived 15 minutes early. Mr. Chen was at the coffee machine when she walked in, and he gave her an approving nod. Feeling better about those morning arrivals, I see, he said with a small smile. Much better, Maya replied, settling into her cubicle with a cup of coffee that was still hot. At 8:30, she finally picked up her phone. 7 missed messages from Jessica, escalating from curious to concerned to mildly annoyed. Maya typed back, I'm sorry I just woke up, ended up oversleeping and just rushed in. Hope you made it okay. Maya put on her shoes, grabbed her keys, and headed for the door. The drive to work without Jessica was like meditation. She put on her favorite playlist, took the scenic route, and still arrived 15 minutes early. Mr. Chen was at the coffee machine when she walked in, and he gave her an approving nod. Feeling better about those morning arrivals, I see, he said with a small smile. Much better, Maya replied, settling into her cubicle with a cup of coffee that was still hot. At 8:30, she finally picked up her phone. 7 missed messages from Jessica, escalating from curious to concerned to mildly annoyed. Maya typed back, "I'm sorry I just woke up, ended up oversleeping and just rushed in. Hope you made it okay." The response came quickly, "Had to get an Uber. $23. Glad you're feeling better though." Maya felt a twist of guilt about the money, but then she remembered all the time she'd paid for gas while Jessica contributed nothing, all the stress headaches, all the apologetic conversations with her boss. $23 seemed like a small price for Jessica to pay for her own lack of consideration. The interesting part came over the next few days. Jessica didn't ask for rides anymore. Instead, Maya started seeing her in the parking lot with different coworkers, first with Tom from accounting, then with Sarah from HR. Apparently, Jessica had a whole network of potential chauffeurs that Maya hadn't even known about. "How'd you manage to escape Jessica duty?" Sarah asked her one morning as they waited for the elevator. "Escape?" Maya tried to look innocent. "Come on, we all know about her morning routine." Tom lasted exactly 1 week before he started having car trouble every Tuesday and Thursday. Sarah grinned. "I'm giving it another week before she moves on to her next victim." Maya laughed, but she also felt a strange mix of relief and guilt. She'd solved her problem, but had she just passed it along to someone else? The guilt lasted until the following Monday, when she overheard Jessica on a phone call during lunch. I know, I'm working on being better about time," Jessica was saying. "It's just so hard when you're not a morning person, you know? But I got this new app that's supposed to help with scheduling." Maya smiled to herself. Maybe her little deception had been exactly what Jessica needed, a wake-up call that her actions had consequences, that other people's time mattered too. 3 weeks later, Maya was surprised to get a text from Jessica. "Hey, I know our carpool thing didn't work out, but I wanted to say thanks. I've been working on my morning routine and I'm actually getting to work on time now. Maybe we can try again sometime." Maya looked at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "That's awesome. I'm glad you figured it out. Maybe we can grab coffee sometime instead." "Sounds perfect. I know this great place, they're super fast, I promise." Maya laughed out loud. Some things never changed, but maybe that was okay. She'd learned something valuable about boundaries, about the difference between being helpful and being taken advantage of. And apparently, Jessica had learned something too. The morning routine that had once been a source of stress had become Maya's favorite part of the day. She still left at the same time, took the same route, but now she did it on her own terms. No more waiting, no more apologies, no more rushed mornings. Just her coffee, and the open road. 2 months had passed since Maya's great carpool escape, and life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Her mornings were her own again, punctuated by the gentle hum of her car's engine and whatever podcast had caught her attention that week. She'd almost forgotten about the stress of waiting for Jessica's inevitable delays. Almost. The reminder came on a rainy Thursday morning when Maya spotted a familiar figure huddled under the awning of the downtown coffee shop she'd started frequenting. Jessica stood there, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing wildly with her free hand while rain dripped from her hair onto her shoulders. Maya's first instinct was to drive past. She had 15 minutes before her shift started, just enough time to grab her usual order and settle in at her desk. But something about Jessica's posture, the way her shoulders were hunched, the frantic quality of her gestures, made Maya pull into the parking lot. Through the coffee shop window, she could see Jessica had made it inside and was now standing at the counter, patting down her pockets with increasing desperation. Maya recognized the universal gesture of someone who just realized they'd forgotten their wallet. "Maya." Jessica's face lit up when she spotted her. "Oh my God, perfect timing. I am having the worst morning ever." "What happened?" Maya asked, though she suspected she already knew. "Uber driver canceled on me last minute, so I had to walk in the rain. Then I get here and realize I left my wallet at home. I was just about to call another Uber but my phone is at like 2% and..." Jessica's words tumbled out in a rush, punctuated by the occasional frustrated gesture. Maya glanced at the clock on the wall. 7:47 a.m. If she left now, she'd still make it to work on time. If she helped Jessica, well, that was a different story. I can give you a ride, Maya heard herself saying, immediately regretting it. Really? Oh my God, you're a lifesaver. I promise I'll be super quick, I just need to grab my wallet and… Jessica. Maya's voice was firm but not unkind. I can give you a ride, but I'm leaving in exactly 10 minutes. If you're not in my car by then, I'm going to work without you. Jessica blinked, clearly unused to this version of Maya. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm serious. 10 minutes. I'll get my coffee and then I'm leaving. Got it. 10 minutes. I'll be ready. Maya ordered her usual, a simple coffee with cream, and watched as Jessica practically bounced on her toes, checking her phone repeatedly. 8 minutes later, they were walking to Maya's car. See? I can be on time when I need to be, Jessica said, climbing into the passenger seat. We'll see, Maya replied, starting the engine. Jessica lived in a tidy apartment complex about 7 minutes from the coffee shop. Maya had been there once before, back when their carpool arrangement was new and she'd been more accommodating. She pulled up to the curb and put the car in park. I'll just be a sec, Jessica said, already unbuckling her seatbelt. 5 minutes, Maya said firmly. I'm serious, Jessica. If you're not back in 5 minutes, I'm leaving. Jessica paused, her hand on the door handle. You really would leave without me, wouldn't you? I've done it before, Maya said, meeting her eyes in the rear-view mirror. For a moment, Jessica looked like she might argue. Then she nodded and got out of the car. Maya watched the clock on her dashboard, counting down the minutes. At exactly 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Jessica appeared at the apartment building entrance, wallet in hand, practically jogging to the car. 4 minutes, 28 seconds, Maya announced as Jessica climbed back in. I'm getting better at this, Jessica said, slightly breathless but smiling. The drive to work was different this time. Instead of the usual chaos and last-minute panic, there was an odd sense of partnership. Jessica didn't pull out her makeup bag or try to make phone calls. She just sat quietly, occasionally commenting on the morning radio show. Thanks for this, Jessica said as they pulled into the office parking lot. I know I haven't been the most reliable carpool partner. Maya turned off the engine and looked at her. You're welcome. But Jessica, can I ask you something? Sure. Why is it so hard for you to be on time? Jessica was quiet for a moment, staring out the windshield at the office building. Honestly? I think I'm afraid of having nothing to do. Like, if I'm ready too early, I'll just sit there and think about all the things I should be doing instead. It's easier to fill the time with stuff, even if it makes me late. It was the most honest thing Jessica had ever said to her, and Maya felt something shift in her understanding of her coworker. That actually makes sense, Maya said slowly. But you know what? Being late is just trading one kind of anxiety for another. Trust me, I've been there. Yeah, I'm starting to figure that out. Jessica gathered her things. Hey, about that coffee we talked about, would you want to maybe meet up this weekend? Somewhere with no time pressure? Maya considered it. The old Maya would have said yes immediately, eager to please. The new Maya was more careful with her boundaries, but she was also learning that boundaries didn't have to mean building walls. Saturday morning? But I'm picking the place, and I'm ordering for both of us if you're more than 5 minutes late. Jessica laughed. Deal. And Maya. Thanks for not giving up on me completely. As they walked into the office together, Maya realized she felt something she hadn't experienced in months of carpooling with Jessica, hope. Not hope that Jessica would magically become punctual overnight, but hope that maybe, with the right boundaries in place, they could figure out how to be friends without Maya sacrificing her own peace of mind. Mr. Chen was already at his desk when they arrived, and he gave Maya an approving nod. Right on time again, I see. Actually, Jessica spoke up, Maya saved my morning. I would have been super late without her. Maya looked at Jessica in surprise. It was the first time she'd heard her coworker take responsibility for her tardiness in front of their boss. Well then, Mr. Chen said, sounds like Maya is a good influence. As they settled into their respective workstations, Maya caught Jessica's eye across the office. Jessica mouthed thank you and gave her a small wave. Maya smiled and turned to her computer, thinking about Saturday morning coffee and the possibility of friendship without resentment. It was a start. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that made Maya grateful for her decision to walk to the coffee shop instead of driving. She'd chosen Grind Coffee, a small place 3 blocks from her apartment that she discovered during one of her solo morning routines. It was the kind of place where the baristas knew your order after 3 visits and the Wi-Fi password was written on a chalkboard that hadn't been erased in months. Maya arrived at 9:55 a.m. for their 10 o'clock meeting, a habit she developed after years of being the person who waited. She ordered her usual coffee and found a table by the window, pulling out her phone to check messages while she waited. At 10:03, she started to feel the familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. Old habits died hard, and part of her was already crafting the text message she'd send if Jessica didn't show up by 10:15. At 10:04, Jessica burst through the door, slightly out of breath but smiling. She spotted Maya immediately and waved, then got in line to order. Sorry, Jessica said, sliding into the seat across from Maya 2 minutes later. I know I'm late, but only by 4 minutes, which is practically early for me. Maya laughed despite herself. I'm actually impressed. What happened to the girl who needed 5 more minutes to change her outfit? Oh, I still needed 5 more minutes, Jessica said, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup. But I built it into my schedule. I told myself I had to be here at 9:45, so when I inevitably ran late, I'd still make it by 10 o'clock. That's actually pretty smart. Right? I'm basically tricking myself into being punctual. My therapist suggested it. Maya raised an eyebrow. Therapist? Jessica nodded, looking slightly embarrassed. I started seeing someone a few weeks ago. Turns out chronic lateness can be a symptom of anxiety. Who knew? Anxiety? Maya tried to reconcile this with the Jessica she knew, the one who seemed so carefree about time, so unbothered by the stress she caused others. Yeah, it's weird. I'm anxious about being idle, so I fill every moment with tasks. But then I'm also anxious about being late, so I rush through everything and end up making mistakes or forgetting things, which makes me even more anxious. Jessica took a sip of her coffee. It's a whole thing. Maya felt a shift in her understanding, like a lens coming into focus. That actually explains a lot. I know I've been really inconsiderate, Jessica continued. Especially with the carpool thing. I kept thinking about how stressed you looked in the mornings, but I told myself it was just because of traffic or work or whatever. I didn't want to admit that I was the problem. What made you realize it? Jessica smiled ruefully. When you overslept that morning and I had to take an Uber. I was so mad about the money, but then I realized, this is what it costs to get to work on time. Maya was basically subsidizing my lack of planning. I felt bad about lying to you, Maya admitted. Don't. It was a wake-up call I needed. Literally, Jessica laughed at her own joke. But seriously, thank you for not just ghosting me entirely. Some people would have. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the Saturday morning crowd filter in and out of the coffee shop. Maya noticed that Jessica wasn't fidgeting with her phone or checking the time obsessively. She seemed present in a way that was new. So, Jessica said eventually, I have a confession. Oh no. What now? I've been practicing punctuality on other people. Maya nearly choked on her coffee. What do you mean? Well, after our whole thing, I started noticing how often I was late for everything. Dinner with friends, doctor's appointments, even movies. So I started using the same trick, telling myself I need to be places earlier than I actually do. And? It's working. Last week I was early to 3 different things. My friends didn't know what to do with me. Jessica grinned. Sarah from HR actually asked if I was feeling okay when I showed up to her birthday dinner on time. That's amazing, Jessica. How does it feel? Honestly? Less stressful than I thought it would be. Turns out there's something really nice about not rushing everywhere. Who knew? Maya smiled. I'm really proud of you. That takes a lot of self-awareness. Thanks. And hey, speaking of being on time. Jessica pulled out her phone and showed Maya the screen. I set a reminder for 10:45 so we don't accidentally stay here all day. I know you probably have other plans. Maya looked at the reminder, then at Jessica's face, which was earnest and slightly hopeful. Actually, I don't have any plans. Do you want to walk around the farmer's market after this? It's just a few blocks away. Really? That sounds perfect. As they sat there, Maya realized that this was what she'd been hoping for during those frustrating months of carpooling, not just punctuality, but consideration. The awareness that other people's time mattered, that relationships worked better when both people felt respected. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said. "Sure. Why didn't you just ask someone else to carpool with from the beginning? I know you had other options." Jessica considered this. "Honestly? Because you were so nice about it. Like, you'd wait for me and you'd still be polite even when I could tell you were annoyed. It was easier to take advantage of someone who wouldn't call me out on it." "That's refreshingly honest." "Yeah, my therapist says I need to work on that too. Apparently, I have a pattern of finding people who won't set boundaries with me, and then I push until they either snap or disappear." "Is that what happened with Tom and Sarah?" "Tom lasted exactly 1 week before he started mysteriously having car trouble every time I needed a ride. Sarah was more direct. She told me she'd drive me, but if I wasn't outside when she honked, she was leaving. I tested it once." Jessica laughed. "She left." "Good for her." "Yeah, it was. I respect that more than I respected. Well, the old version of our arrangement." Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her sister, asking if she wanted to have lunch later. She glanced at it, then put the phone away without responding immediately. "Everything okay?" Jessica asked. "Yeah, just my sister. She wants to do lunch, but I think I'd rather hang out here with you, if that's okay." Jessica's face lit up. "Really? Even though I'm still technically a recovering chronic late person? Especially because of that. I want to see this punctuality thing in action." "Deal. But I'm buying the next round of coffee. It's the least I can do after all those mornings you drove me around." As Jessica got up to order their second round, Maya reflected on how different this felt from their old dynamic. There was no resentment, no underlying tension about time or reliability. Just two people figuring out how to be friends on equal terms. When Jessica returned with fresh coffee, she had a small pastry bag with her too. "I got us some of those cinnamon scones you were eyeing," she said. "The barista said they're really good." "You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to. Besides, I'm practicing this thing called thoughtful gestures. My therapist says they're good for relationships." Maya laughed. "How's that working out for you?" "Pretty well, actually. Turns out people like it when you think about them. Revolutionary concept, right?" As they settled back into their conversation, Maya realized that sometimes the best friendships were the ones that had to be rebuilt from scratch. The foundation might be different, but it was stronger for having been tested.